right, we're set up, ready to roll. Good morning. Set up and get the sketch going here. I've been collecting reference this morning, and also it turned out my phone wanted to update itself without telling me. So I was like, why is my phone not turning on? Turned out it was updating all by itself. So that's nice. A bit to do, right? I appreciated that. Like, why is my phone off? Did it break? Did it die? What's going on here? Turned out it was just thinking through the problem. You know, taking its sweet time, trying to figure stuff out, right, Bosch? Covering up there, buddy. Good dog. It's nice to have a good dog. Oh, we got our first bot of the morning. Go delete that real quick. Tried to pull together some references and I'll use that to guide my experience. So we're going to rough out the drawing here first, figure out the shapes. And I think what we're going to do actually is use some geometric design. So we've got a more or less square image here, and I want to make sure we're not evenly dividing the space, which is really easy to do when working with a square composition. So we are going to set up our harmonics first. Right on the edge of the paper. And what are the harmonics? Well, that's the armature that underlies every single composition. There's an underlying set of relationships automatically within a composition based off of how humans see stuff. And I do it roughly, or I can use a ruler to get it laid out. But basically, it allows you to set up proportional spaces and diagonals within composition. So that's what we're setting up here first, is that. So this gives us halves, quarters, and thirds right off the bat. So I can draw this line here. We're going to take some time to work on this. I want to make a little bit more a complicated image, but not too complicated, and so this gives us, again, those thirds, quarters, and halves. And so by playing with these diagonals inherent in here, and the spaces it's set up, looks pretty well. You can also divide it up further into fifths and other things, but I want to get kind of the main figure in here somewhere. And I'll play around with this composition, but have this as my guide. So what set up with that. That's what we got going on here today. Of course, welcome to all the new followers. There's been a bunch over the last week. I've been quite shocked by that, actually. So, I don't want her in here. Maybe we could pivot her off of this. That seems to work with her back. Copy her a little down. Puts her head over here. I want to make her too big though, so we can put her on this inside third and stretching across. I'll put other things in here, but I do want to make sure the figure is central to what we're doing. I've got some costume stuff to throw on here too, so I'll go ahead and draw her on here from my reference here. I think it came from a free pack, so. So it fits right here. And the leg comes out over here. Nicely pivots up against that edge. I said pivot, but well, pivots too, so I guess this goes over here. And then I was thinking this sort of incorporate some of these mechanical things along with architectural elements. Go from there. Blending references together. Let's see. Let's stick that up a little further. She's pulling herself up here, so she probably have something coming out of here that relates to what we're doing here. All right. Holding on something there. It kind of implies this is coming out. She's got her rear squished on something over there. And if our horizon line is kind of more or less here in the middle, we just put something here. Let's see, that'll be here. So it's higher up there, huh? We can squish that up against there. All right, next up, if we don't put it in there, reverb. These things through here. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Good morning. All right, let's get some this drawing brushed on here. That way it doesn't fade away. I'm trying to debate whether to. If I mixed some acrylic medium with some water and then airbrushed it on, I think that's the best solution here. That way, a couple of coats of that might work. Oh gosh. A little more. Maybe I'll drop a little ink in there just to colorize things a little bit, just so I can see where I'm painting. And hopefully clean it out too when I'm done. All right, Bosch. So I think that's what we'll do. Make sure our drawing doesn't get destroyed. So I need to cover up the other guy so he doesn't get destroyed. A little higher. Go. Piece of tape there just to hold that one in the middle. Alrighty. I got it before. That in there. That one. Now it's on. A little sticky in there. There we go. Let's bring some medium on here in order to seal the page. And we'll brush on drawing on top. And these are the value patterns. Let's see how far we get with that. This is good to work on like a warm ground a lot of the time. I think I prefer like more of an orange one. So let's cut that out. And rub as much as we can out. And spray that down real quick. Get some cleaner in there before it dries. Squirt some water in here to leave while we're working, clean it up properly when I'm done. I don't know if that's the way you're supposed to do things, but there we go. Off. Just dry. That's nice and dry. So we are going to go ahead and get this all nice and coated down. Got my high flow medium out. And we don't need all the colors I normally use because just doing the underpainting here. But we'll get some transparent color going here. Start with our trans oxide red. It's a great underpainting color. Maybe burnt umber would be okay too. But I'm going to go with this one. And we've got our, what's that brush go? Out here, hidden in here. There's another brush that was missing. Let's see. Where did that filbert go I was playing around with? Filbert, where are you hiding? Underneath somebody? Just get the drawing in and then, there it is. Slid under the drawer. Here we go. Got my high flow medium. I'm just going to go ahead and start let's get that dried off real quick. Try it this morning. Except for me. Alright, there we go. That's right. So, we're reaching out for something in here. I don't know yet what that would be. Something. Let's just get the drawing on here. That's our primary concern today. Just getting the drawing on here. Drawing and the design. We're half an hour in, right? So, should I do more involved studies and preparation? Sure, but a lot of this is just kind of practice for me. I also want to try to kind of do more of a limited palette in here as well. I should get the brown out to work with this color. All right. Where are you, burnt umber? Now, burnt umber is one of the most kind of utilitarian colors that there is for painting in general. It's dark, and it is warm, and it is transparent. So it gets a lot of use because of those properties. So it works really well underneath paintings and things like that. It's a foundational layer for your work. More paint, that's where drawing going on here. There's Morn over there on Kick. How's it going? You're having a kick, right? I'm doing a mixed reference thing here. I haven't listened to this guy in a long time. I don't even know why I haven't. And just reaching up here, we're going to have something coming out of here that's shooting grass. Got the hand. There's these gloves over there. Like that. And she is reaching up for something, which I really can't see. Shoulders there, and up, and the arm goes up like that. So maybe we can just have it in here. It'll be a mystery. Maybe something glowing would be nice. Seems like a good story. Or maybe she's gripping the inside edge of that. It's hard to say. some stuff emitting out of this ellipse up here. Good morning. Just getting this all arranged. Drawing on here as quick as I can. Spent the first half an hour or so kind of designing a layout here. Playing around, just kind of mixing reference. I'm not really thinking too much about the story, but you know, be on the most kind of generic sense of it. You know, she's doing something in here. Is the intent. Too thick. And then we're going to set up our light structure once we get this in here. Let's see. I'm going to have this attached to something down here. Mechanical stuff there. Hello. Good morning. Hopefully nobody saw my embarrassingly left on live stream yesterday. That was pretty funny. Came up here like in the evening and was like, hey, look, it's still rolling on these other channels. Not the main ones, but not the main one, but not YouTube, but the other ones. So Thought I hit the stop button, and apparently I just kept rolling. I don't think it showed anything because the other OBS thing was off, so it was just a blank screen, which I'm sure is very exciting for many people to see a blank stream. You know, I guess you could imagine what's in there. So that was pretty funny, I thought. Yeah, let's go off the side. I think we're gonna make sure this goes forward. One of the ways of kind of like deflattening your pictures is to use elements that will kind of bring it more forward like that. So you're projecting this thing towards the viewer. Rather than just sending it off sideways. It's pretty easy to make everything kind of sideways. This is coming towards us now and below us. And we could like stick a branch up in front or something. And have this continue forward. Illustration on the fly, right? Good morning. Yeah, I think my kick chat's always the most active one. I don't know if that's the problem with discoverability on other platforms, but the kick people always have something to share and say. And in the background, we're going to have these eyes behind her, and behind this arch in here. Got some like a snapping turtle for reference for these eyeballs or something. That's her vanishing point there, right above the middle. Maybe I should just put it in the middle. Right there. Just things will read more. Be easier to find if I lose it. Yeah, so just building up a little illustration here. Got a lot of things going on it, but I think should be mostly manageable. The arms come here, so I want to make sure I don't lose whatever's going on here. Put some more eyeballs back here. Yeah, for those that haven't heard my rant about acrylics, acrylics is like a medium I've largely ignored most of my adult life because I didn't enjoy working with it as a student. And I kind of let that experience dominate my opinion of it. I have other mediums I like using, right? So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but that tree growing up here. But you know, using other things is fine. But I just thought I'd left it alone just because I found it much too difficult to work with. So I had to use it. So it's like, well, maybe I've learned some things over the last, you know, X number of years. And it turns out I had. So I was excited to see better results and so and over here I've got these kind of abandoned spaces. Bring this roof toward here in the middle. All right. Good morning. How's my layout doing here? Now I think we can start plotting out the overall value patterns in here. There we go, as those things plotted out. We want her to be central, so the highest contrast should probably be around her face, then here. So, use this red, or this red. Water, huh? Just looking for the wash. Maybe have her reaching up here, and some kind of light coming out. Find a little more comfortable position. Let's get that dried off. All right. class. So we want background to be pretty dark. Inside this archway she's in front of. So try some texturing effects in the background here. The stone. Those brushes clean, right? Wow, lots of people are getting snow this weekend. I might get a little bit tomorrow. There's nothing that's going to stick around. Tragically. Or for the best, I don't know. All right. It's drying out. Alright, now let's get some, maybe some Prussian blue, or not Prussian blue, Payne's gray. It's effectively a blue-black. It's actually just a mixture of, I think, ivory black and ultramarine blue. We'll try some texture effects. Bag of texture. Just see those over there. See how well these work. Over there. Oops. If my dog was in, I would have dropped these templates on him. That would have been very upsetting, even if it was painless. So I'm going to try mixing some paint up with this over here. Oh, they're too heavy, so appreciate that. Just trying to get it all set up. Clean off my sponge here a bit. All right, and let's start. This should be dry, mostly dry. It's not quite dry. Hopefully this will settle down once we get some more stuff on here. Let's get this deeper background. So we've got the arch is here, and this thing is up here with the roof. Quiet that texture down. Let's see how we do here. Yeah, it's just kind of setting up. This is very common in oil painting, especially. Is use burnt umber, especially, and then use other colors to kind of other earth colors, and then the earth colors tend to sit very warmly under other things. So it's product of convenience in a lot of ways. Let's save it for time. Just under an hour, huh? You have to draw a lot to get this bad. You got to practice every single day. Try and do the worst, make the worst possible decisions every single time. And then you'll be as bad as I am. If you're lucky. It takes talent to suck. It's a rare, rare ability. So that's the advice there for sure. I'm kind of wanting things being mostly grayish with this one. So what time is it? 10:30, huh? I want to like indicate some spots. Maybe we'll lean into like the orange. Okay, so you're one of those people. You are bad. Don't need that on my feed or my stream. I don't really care. So it's gone. Kapoof. No sense in putting up with that kind of creepy behavior, right? Alright, so at least I don't see any reason. So maybe you guys are about that. But now we're gonna get some orange in here. I'm gonna put this around in different places. Let's see, where's my reference set for everything? She's reaching up into here for something. Those guys back here looking at her. Create some color rhythms in here. Alright, now let's put some more specific stuff on here. Damn, it's still for another hour. Send Dave that email. Hello, Jungle Queen. Thank you. Appreciate that. I can just draw into it. I'm going to break out the Zorn palette. We'll focus on that for this picture. And that'll help us kind of keep the palette mostly limited. I want to add a little bit of this orange, but so the arch is up here. I want to go like through her head, come over and then come down. Right there. Comes up and over through her head. It comes down over here. Now we got this tree coming up towards us. All right, Bosch, how you doing? I'd use a blanket, but not yet. Yeah, this thing will get all nice and cleaned up eventually. Good morning. Hopefully I've avoided installing any tangents in here. It'd be embarrassing, right, if I did so, much as I rail against them. So let's see, this wall is over here. I've got the leading line going into the hand. And arch needs to come down over here. Let's put it back in space. Right, everybody. We got ourselves an elliptical shape up here. Form. Let's get the shadow patterns here. Good. I will for sure. I'm just using this to kind of help set up some rhythms. Wanted to make sure. Want to use kind of the orange to help me plan out where certain things are happening. Like I'll have some kind of light coming out of there. Eventually, this is called the underpainting. And so I'm just kind of injecting this orange here, partially because I've just put a whole pile out, so I want to make sure I use up as much of it as I can before I put out anything else. Cadmium orange is one of the more expensive colors, and while I don't mind not using all of my paint, if I can, I want to use as much of it as I have for its intended purpose, obviously. But so I'm just kind of scattering some around the line before I put anything else out. I've only got a handful of colors, well, 3 colors The plan is to start with what's called the Zorn palette. So Anders Zorn, A-N-D-E-R-S, Anders, and then Zorn, Z-O-R-N. He was a 19th century, well, mostly 19th century. He lived into the 20th century, but mostly 19th century portrait painter. And but he used a very limited palette most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. He used cadmium red. Well, he used vermilion, but we use cadmium red in place of that most of the time, which is just as toxic as cadmium red, vermilion, or close to. And then he liked to use yellow ochre, just this color right here. Well, this is yellow oxide, but pretty close to yellow ochre. Students were telling me that yellow ochre did not exist, and I'm like, yes it does in acrylic, and then I spotted it when I was there the other day. But I got to use this one first. So we basically have a yellow ochre, cadmium red, and ivory black. And he painted most of his pictures with that very, very limited palette. And you can get a lot from it. You can paint, any skin color. There are limits, like if you need like a real true blue, or you need a true green for something, then you need those colors. But a lot of the time, you can get by with just those three and get a pretty good representation of whatever's in front of you. So I think that's the palette that I want to start with. Get some of these things indicated in here. What I've been using is burnt umber, which is a traditional kind of underpainting color, combined with transparent red oxide, which is also pretty commonly used, and that's most what I've been using here. A little bit of blue black or cold black, depending on how you prefer to call it. That's too wet. Maybe just stain this real quick with the right color. As long as we keep it light and transparent. So that's part of what I'll start with, is that, and use most of that, and then a little bit of other stuff, depending on how it goes. It's a pretty convenient palette, especially if you're trying to control something complicated. One of the problems with painting is going back to the colors that you started with, and trying to get those in there. I am using acrylic paint. I am using a high flow medium with it, which is helping. I'm using these, what's the word? They're heavy body acrylics, and I kind of wish I'd gone with the soft body stuff, but that's what I have in my bucket, is heavy body stuff. So we're just going to drop some local color onto things. So local color is, if you use 3D, local color is the same thing as base color. So I'm trying to avoid losing the drawing, so I'm just keeping it thin. Over here, over there. What's nice about this Zorn palette is just very relatively easy to control. And very common. You can find YouTube tutorials, people using it. But it's not that you can't use whatever you want, but it does make certain things a little bit easier. I don't want to lose stuff that I kind of plotted out here originally, so I just want to get some of this local color on here. So that's the medium I'm using acrylic. So it dries really quick, which is nice for that. It's a medium, actually, I've mentioned here before, but it's one that I actually kind of avoided for a long time. And I had to teach it. So I teach at a university, art stuff. And anyway, I like oils and wash and watercolor. Watercolor's not my favorite, but it's a challenging medium for sure. But let's see, this is kind of too light. Probably just I haven't distributed around yet. But I had to use it last semester because the classroom I was in wasn't equipped for acrylic, for oil painting. So I had to use acrylics in there. And I kind of found out or figured out that maybe I didn't like acrylics as a student, not just for the working property that it dries really fast. I don't necessarily like that. But but one of the problems I think I had as a student, because the last time I'd done anything really finished in it, was that I just hadn't used it very much, and then I also didn't really understand color and painting at all back then. Well, have a good one. I'll probably be on here for another 30 minutes or so. But I just didn't have that much experience with acrylic painting, and so I just, or with painting in general, so I didn't know how to really manipulate color and make a painting really good. And I've learned a lot in the last, since I was a student 20 odd years ago in my undergrad. So anyway, I did a painting I liked in the class. And I was like, oh, maybe I should give acrylics another try. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. So having done one that I liked. Actually, using the Zorn palette, oddly enough. I'm going to throw this red in the background. So that's why I'd invest some time into working with it since I liked it better than I did back then. Maybe I should invest some time and effort into it. So here we are. Investing time and effort. Good morning on YouTube. Got like a tree coming in here. I'm going to try to lose my drawing 100%. So this is an arch. It's going to come up here. I may need to get like a large circle to drop on there just to get that in a better shape, but cleaner shape anyway. So I grabbed some reference for this to mix together, and that's kind of what we got going on here today. And grab the colors I have on here. Yeah, I've just learned a lot over the last 20 odd years. So I thought, hey, maybe I should apply the things that I've learned to this medium and maybe, be a good example of someone trying hard, right? So I grabbed a bunch of reference and built this little scene out. But right now we're focusing on getting what's called the gestalt, the big effect. So I'm not, I want to make sure I don't lose my drawing, but mostly I'm trying to make sure it's being lit properly, that the attention is going where it needs to graphically, and then I can focus on other important elements. Fix up the drawing, clean up things. Won't finish today, obviously, but I think anyway. But this is a good, hopefully lay out a good foundation for what I want to do over the next week or so. So that's what we got going on today. These earth tones are using these nodes, obviously. I also want to kind of play around with this idea of 60, 30, 10 for color. So maybe it's like 60% gray, 30% red, and 10% orange. And maybe that could be interesting as a proportional layout for the color. That way we're keeping our palette well designed, right? That's kind of the idea. So again, just looking for this gestalt first. Or maybe a little bit of other colors too, but that would be the kind of primary layout of color. Spray bottle. I think I've got that size around here somewhere. That should ease up. It's too small. A plate or something. Save that for later, I suppose. A lot of it can be important in making a picture is learning to stage your lights. So deciding kind of what's light, what's dark, and that's where a lot of the gestalt can come from. Playing with contrast ratios, so like I don't necessarily want that background to go super, super dark. So it'll sit in the back a little bit more. That. Alright, let's whip up the good brush here. Oh, maybe we'll try to do that. Nice little brush going in here. But yeah, the advantage of using the Zorn palette is just inevitable. It's just one of those things where it's like it just makes everything easier. So we got light coming from over here. Adding on here. Go back on that cost a little bit. I don't want to go too bright, I think. Generally speaking, I want to kind of save a lot of the brightness up here. That's plenty green, I guess. Good morning. Starting to work, I think. Becoming functional. Right. Good morning. Yeah, start to appear, I think, on here. Hopefully, if I've planned appropriately, I can get this to work really well. Dry out a little bit. Yeah, I can do that too. I'm thinking about it. left here. A little bit longer. I think I might try painting one of these guys in the background just because those will be easy. Let's see, where's that smaller? Ooh, that brush. Here we go. Needs to be a little bit lighter. Let's add another color in. Dull it too much. Good morning. Let's zoom in on that ball. Good morning. How are we doing out there? Let's get to that. Excuse me. Oof. Oh, here comes another one. Where'd all that come from? Alright, enough of this. Well, we go with this one. Oh, that one's good. I hope we get this well properly lit. I can sit down properly in my seat. Find a better semicircle template. I can. I guess I could just use a my compass on here. Good morning. Good morning. People popping in. Let's see. Let's clean that circle up there. Yeah, it's suddenly sneezy. I appreciate that. Trying to kind of cue in some details in here before we call it a study session. Might go another 30 minutes. That way it just takes me to lunch. Be careful with the contrast back here because I want this stuff to kind of sit back. I don't know if cute's the word I'd use though for this. The trick with detail is always keeping the value ranges, the tonal structure under control. And if you do that, you can pack as much or as little detail as you want into a picture, and it can work. Doesn't mean it will, but it can. Increases the probability of it working really well. Good morning. Definitely redder at the bottom, so I'm going to put the red in. Once it stays opaque. And I have to darken it up a little bit here. Just kind of scumbling that on, dry brushing it on, so it's a little thin but opaque. A little bit underneath. Darker, there we go. 20 minutes left. Better circle on it and fix that. That's not a big deal. Let's wait till it's dry and then I can scribe that on there. Use tape or something. Tape across the area I know I want, and then do a nice clean, sharp circle on top of that. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Almost time for eating that LUNCH, right? Not quite, but we're getting close. All right. I feel like that tree could use a little more clarity in here. Hello. Over there on the kick side. It's on for about another 15-20 minutes. I appreciate that. It's very nice. My name is Peter. Just starting a new one this morning, so I started this couple hours ago. But I need to stop soon so I can eat something. So, welcome. Yep, have a good one. Let's see, this is here. Send shadows up. I'll get some words out here next time, but to clean up certain things. Yeah. All right, just a few more minutes, and I'm going to call it a morning here. Good morning. Almost afternoon, but not quite just yet. Getting there, though. Let's see if I can't get some important stuff. Come on, move that whiteboard block. Stay put. I appreciate that. Yeah, just started this morning, so let's see how far we can take this over the next few days or week. Little 1-hour morning sessions. A little longer today, just because I've got some things this afternoon, so prevent me from doing other things. All good things, but I figured I'll just do this till lunch. So I got a late start trying to figure out what I was going to do. As it was, what's the meaning behind the art? The meaning behind the art is for me to practice making art. So I grabbed some different references that I wanted to use, and then I made a little composition. She's reaching up to grab something. And that will be somewhat of a mystery because it's going up inside of something, but it will be glowing. So there's a number of things that I wanted to practice with this picture, and so I figured by combining these different things together, that would make that more possible for me. So that is the meaning of the picture. We've got like a tree coming up here. She's reaching up into this thing, and then there's this weird creature thing in the background observing what she is doing here. And, these things come from looking at the eyes of snapping turtles. So I've got an image of a snapping turtle up here. So that's what we got going on. I've been just doing these little acrylic experiments because I don't have as much experience with acrylic paint as I do other media. So I thought that I should procure that experience and see what we get out of it. So that's the whole meaning of the picture. It's me reaching up trying to figure something out. How's that for a metaphor? Is it 12 o'clock yet? It is, so I think that's probably a good spot to pause. And we should be back on this tomorrow, first thing in the morning. See if we can't push it forward. I'm trying to kind of work mostly front to back here. And then, let's see, let's just get some of this tone on here for tomorrow. Use up some of this paint. My dog is probably sitting there going, it's my time for my thing right now. And you are delaying, I can tell. Because I am Bosch. That's what he always says. I am Bosch. Because he's a good boy, and he knows it. So he gets taken care of real good. And here, I think. Alrighty. I stop. That's too much white. Oh, there's little blocks of color stuck in things that I don't intend. Belong in there. So yeah, that's the whole meaning. Anyway, I'm gonna come back to this later. Thanks over the commitment. I appreciate it, and continue working on this.